Hey, everybody. 50 conversations with 50 strangers. I want to tell you how many people I've been talking to and how confused I was in complete vulnerability when Trina came on the phone with me today. I had no idea what we were talking about, if she was coming on to my show, if I was coming on to her show, if we were talking about this work that she's doing, this beautiful work that we had one conversation on. So completely transparent, completely vulnerable. I have had a conversation with Trina before. This is not a stranger that I don't know anything about, but it's somebody that I don't know that much about. So I feel okay having her on the show. But secretly, I love what she's doing. So I want to have her on because I want you to know what she's doing too, okay? And what I love about this room is given the opportunity for people to be able to share who they are with each other. What's already happening is strangers are listening to my conversation with strangers and are reaching out to them. And what a beautiful thing it would be if a world that was previously a world of strangers became a world of friends that literally found in each other something that they needed or wanted or could help each other grow or build. Or if they got behind it and supported it. This isn't about fixing anybody or changing anybody. This isn't about selling programs. This isn't about anything. This is about people having a platform to just be completely themselves. I've had a couple people come on the show and they've talked about their work. And after I asked them not to talk about their work, not to try and sell their work, and they came on, and one of them I published anyway, but I was unhappy with it and I published it anyway. And she blasted me. Out of the 50 conversations I've had two. One that I published and she blasted me, and one that I said, okay, please don't talk about your work. I'm not going to be able to publish this. He kept talking about his work, and I said, look, I'm really not going to be able to publish it. So you can say anything you want now because we're not going to go on the air. We're not publishing it. We're not doing this. Um, what would happen if we defined ourselves by who we are rather than what we do? That's really the question at the essence of this. Can we get away from everything that we think we are and discover who we actually are? What would that look like? So I've had the absolute privilege of doing exactly what my parents told me not to do. They said, don't talk to strangers, Danny. And I want to rewrite that script because in talking to strangers, some of the most beautiful things are happening. There's a freedom that we feel with each other, that in this room, where normally the rules are we can't be open with somebody we don't know, or it takes a certain amount of time until we can trust somebody. That isn't happening in this room. This room's become a magic room where people feel how much I care about them, how much I love them, how much I want to know about them, even simple questions, I want to know more than they think I want to know. And so here I am going into my monologue. I don't want to go into a monologue, but I wanted you to know what goes on here. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to a woman I just met. Her name is Trina Wyatt. Trina, how are you?
Uh, I'm well. I'm feeling so warm inside from your introduction because we need to be comfortable being ourselves with strangers. And the first thing we should be talking about is the authentic self and not what we do to pay rent.
Yeah.
So I applaud what you're doing here, Danny. It's
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you so much. And look, I understand that some people define themselves by what they do. It's pretty common to do that. And yet this room is the opportunity for them to not have to do that.
Mm.
Like, I'm going to promote your website, I'm going to promote your places, I'm going to have all your social media links, I'm going to have everything that you want to do in the show notes. So when people read their website to me and tell me their website in a conversation, I say, why bother? Like, then like, I'm going to take people there. Don't waste this time doing that. Let's get to know each other. So
Right. Stop with the sound bites.
100%. So because I really don't know you that well, and people may or may not know you who are with me, tell me who you are and what's important to you.
Hmm. Well, I am consciousness. having a physical experience. And I am committed to helping people realize that they too are consciousness having a physical experience, and that we are all interconnected through consciousness. And I'm passionate about not only raising awareness for this, but helping people connect with one another through visual storytelling and to connect with themselves. So really, I would say, even though we're not supposed to talk about what we do, my passion is furthering these deeper connections with ourselves, with each other, and with something greater, and using visual storytelling as the entry point and the catalyst for reinforcing those connections.
I love everything you said. And you know, you and I are completely aligned with that. But I'm thinking that maybe some people are listening that don't know what some of those terminologies are.
Sure, yeah.
When you say, like, m- most of those people have probably never heard somebody say, I'm consciousness in a human experience, right? Or having a human experience. Will you unpack that a little bit for some people and just say what exactly that means?
Absolutely. Well, I would consider myself spiritual, but not religious. And one of my spiritual beliefs is that the universe and the multiverse that is our universe is a part of, is energy. It's all energy. And it's an energy and an intelligence that is somewhat beyond our comprehension. Myself, I have experienced glimpses, feelings of this interconnectedness. The energy that is within me is part of the universal energy that runs through every living thing, all matter and living things, and feeling that, connecting with that energy and that interconnection is what I describe as consciousness.
Love it. There's so much energy coming through you, whatever is happening to your microphone on your where it is right now. I'm hearing like a, and we can do it. I don't
Oh,
mind. But
I think my hand was on it. I'm so sorry. It could be that, or I have a standard poodle
yeah, I don't
right
know.
next to me, and he may be making some noise. So I'm just prefacing that. If you hear a low growl, that's not me.
No, it's not a low growl. It's sort of something like static on. Maybe it's your hand on your microphone or something like that or
Okay,
something. Okay.
sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's
Um,
it's the higher vibration.
that's right. I was gonna say. I was saying. Uh, so for people who know me and know the Mosaic, let me try and say what Trina's saying. I'm going to lob this over to you and see if it is what you're saying.
Okay.
In the Mosaic, one of the things it told me through the book that I wrote and through the story is that we're all connected. Um, but when you think of that from a physical reality, it's pretty hard to imagine. It feels like a lie. I mean, here you are, wherever you are. Here you're this beautiful woman. Here I am, this old fat guy in San Diego. It's pretty hard to imagine that we are connected.
Mm.
Uh, but the world that it's speaking of is a world of energy. The world it's speaking of, metaphysics has led the way in it, but now quantum physics is describing to us that when you look at this thing that feels pretty solid under a microscope, and you look at it under a high powered microscope, you don't see anything solid. You see swirls of energy moving. So in that energy, it's easier to understand how we're the same. We're made up of this energy, which is maybe a consciousness. Is that sort of what you're alluding to when you're speaking the way you're speaking?
Absolutely. And I think sometimes we think of consciousness as a function of our mind.
Yeah.
And there is a part of us that when our lives come to an end, our mind stops functioning, we are still that. We are still that energy. And I think, Michael Singer, I think, had the best description, which is consciousness is the awareness that you are not your thoughts. You are the you behind your thoughts.
Love it.
And recognizing that is a part of me, and it comes from somewhere, and it goes back to somewhere, someplace, something, and that is the situation for all living beings, sentient beings, living things. And if we can tap into that on a regular basis, so that we feel that connection. This is why I think that ayahuasca and some of the plant-based medicines have become so popular of late, because this is a new world, really, for all of us. I mean, it's a new world for maybe in the West, certainly not in other parts of the world and indigenous cultures. It's not new. But the fact that, yes, the science and the spirituality are now, converging and overlapping. So I would say it's harder to feel that interconnection with some things, some people. And there again, we go back to energy and vibration, right? That same old, I really like your vibe. People have been saying that for a while, right? And it's like, okay, I'm feeling this connection. We've got a vibe happening here, right? Or you don't. And it could be because that person or being is not vibing at the same vibration or close to the same vibration. And so I would say, even if that happens, to not forget that we are still all interconnected.
Yeah. I don't know if you've had this experience, but I want to just bring it up because I think what you say is so true for so many people. I mean, we walk down the street and we see somebody and we're instantly drawn to them. And we don't know why, but there's just there's something that's happening that we're instantly connected. And also, we walk into a room, and there's somebody in that room that we just think, I don't want to be around that person, right? It just doesn't feel good. It
You've
feels
never
like,
met them. You have
and you've
no
never
reason to
met
feel
them,
that
you never
way.
talked to them, right? And it's one of the things that I love about this room, because sometimes in this room, I have people that come in that I go, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. But I've had the experience through my life, and I wonder if you have too. I bet you have. That I've seen people walk into a room that is one of those yucky rooms that most people are affected by, that walk into and turn around and want to walk out. And these people walk into the room and they affect the whole room. And it made me think, wow, that's fascinating. Like, if people in a room can affect me, why can't I affect people in a room?
You are.
We are.
Yeah.
And so even in those places, what I would like to ask our listeners, does this make sense to you? Have you had those experiences? What I would
Oh,
like what I would like to ask you as a listener right now, pause for a moment and think, how would I walk into a room that I normally walk in and walk out of, and literally elevate the room through the vibration that I bring to the room? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, it's so beautiful. And I think you remind me of something that I thought about a while ago, and I try to remind myself of that. That is beautiful power. That is power used in the highest, towards the highest good, is when you recognize that any being that you come in contact with throughout your day, you have the power to positively impact that person, from not only your smile, but your thoughts, your eyes, and people respond to that. And if somebody's having a bad day and you come in and you smile and light up the room for them, they're going to walk out and have a little better day. And and the most powerful is when you don't feel like it. maybe you're the one not having a great day,
Right. Right.
and you make that little extra effort, and it's returned to you tenfold.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Right.
love that. This is the alchemy of the world we live in. This is the alchemy of this little Zoom room that we happen to be in. Because what happens is, here's my basic understanding of people in the, like, I've been around since the dinosaurs. Look at me, I'm an old man now, but I still have young consciousness. Everybody that I've met, doesn't matter what color their skin, what religion they practice, what spirituality they say they have, what self help practice they practice, what border they live behind, how much money they have, how big their house, or how torn their cardboard box. Every single person I've met wants three things: they want to be loved and accepted, they want to be listened to and heard, and they want to be acknowledged and validated. And the moment that I realized that I could do that, I didn't need a degree. I didn't need to be a minister, even though I am. I didn't need to be a coach, even though I am. I didn't need to have a rabbinical degree, even though I do. I didn't need to have any of that. All I needed to do is care enough about somebody to say, I love you and I really want to know what you think.
Beautiful.
And when we
Beautiful.
walk into a room with that energy, people feel that. And we don't have to be good looking. We don't have to be the slim. We don't have to be fat. We don't have to be dressed in robes. When people feel that love, they're drawn to it as a bee's drawn to honey. And so it's our job, it's our goal, it's our beautiful, beautiful thing, not to fix anybody or change anybody, but just to love people. Your thoughts on that?
Mm. It's so beautiful. I think personally, I believe that this energy, this vibration, the frequency is the frequency of love. And when people are not vibrating it, that they've closed off. And if we can allow ourselves and our hearts and set the intention and the willingness and open ourselves to letting that flow through us and giving, knowing that yes, we'll receive, but focus on the giving and the
Yeah.
gratitude. But that's what I believe the universe
Love
is
that.
an energy of love.
So let me go back and circle around to something that I asked, and we so quickly answer most of the time because we don't think people care about our answer really. Um, we're living in a crazy time right now. It was only a few years ago that Me Too was huge. And as a man, I had to really reevaluate the way I grew up because the way I grew up taught me certain things were right when they weren't right.
Hmm.
And I had to look at the way I interacted with women in my life and how, as courageous and humble and beautiful as a man I thought I was, I saw myself doing things that were just inappropriate now. And that seemed like a huge change and transformation that could have taken me the rest of my life to work through.
Hmm.
And now we have coronavirus. And suddenly we have an experience where the whole world is on pause together for a little bit of time. Now we're coming back, but now we're coming back in different ways, and we might be on pause again. Who knows what's happening? But even the way we are allowed to interact with each other has been really looked at and analyzed and said, maybe we can't be too close. Maybe we have to social distance. Maybe we can't be. And so even our social ways that we come together as a family, I have, my daughter's developmentally delayed and she lives in a group home. I haven't been able to see her for over 4 months because the
Hmm.
group home's on lockdown and they can't let anybody in or out because they're too, fragile an environment.
Hmm. Sorry.
That's okay. And that, thank God for social media and for FaceTime and things like that.
Right.
But then also on top of that, we have race protests where people of color have looked to us and said, we matter too. Like, what about us? It feels like the whole world, all of our institutions, our churches are being looked at with the leadership, our businesses are being looked at with the way they're led. it feels like all the structures are being reanalyzed, relooked at, reformatted, remade. How are you actually doing? How are you really? I know we
Oh,
say how are you and we say fine, but how are you?
oh, that's such a big question.
Yeah.
This time has been really challenging for me as an entrepreneur, but as a person, uh, I lost both my parents in the last few months. So
Wow.
my mom passed away on March 18th, and my dad passed 3 weeks to the day after her.
My God,
And
I'm so
so, and
sorry.
I was very close with both of them. So thank you. And same thing, we were not, I wasn't able to be by either of their side because of COVID. We didn't have the, service, with the family coming together as we would have had. So the grieving process has been really challenging on top of just what everyone's going through with COVID. So it's been really, really hard. Uh, the grief, the COVID, but at the same time, there's this little bit of an excitement within me of you're transforming. It's like I'm feeling like I'm in the cocoon. I've re-entered the cocoon as I have certain points in my life. And there's a little bit of who am I going to emerge from this experience? Who is that person?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty excited because I feel like the growth that I'm going and experiencing right now, it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
So, how are you? How
Thank
are
you for
you?
thank you for asking. Um, Having been a monk for 10 years, COVID's a return to familiar to me.
Hmm.
I love, honestly, I love the isolation.
Hmm.
The only thing I don't love is that I don't get to see my daughter, but we have a rule at 10 o'clock every day. No matter what she's doing, no matter what I'm doing, we get to spend 15 minutes together on FaceTime.
Beautiful.
And that, thank God for that, because without that, I don't think I would be doing that well. And
Yeah.
she can't communicate like you and I communicate, but just laughing with each other and seeing each other and telling her how much I love and adore her, and having her be there, we just have this beautiful, it gets us through to the next day.
Hmm.
But in terms of not seeing things, I have my family here, thank God. So I love my family and my family's here. But my wife's about to write a book called I Married a Monk, because I still haven't left the monastery. I love having my spot. And so if the world is quiet, like I always think, for me, I always thought if I can't go out, then go in.
Hmm.
And so it's a beautiful opportunity for me to go in, and I'm watching myself. I looked at some videos that someone made of me when I was going to make video. I was going to make videos in a course of all the characters of the Mosaic, and they filmed me talking about the characters in the Mosaic. And I thought, I wonder where those went. And I finally found them. I was cleaning up my computer because I'm overburdened with all these things. And I listened to them and I said, oh my God, I didn't even recognize the person that said those.
Hmm.
The quality of my voice has changed so substantially, because there was like an outwardness and a pushiness and an almost anger in the voice of like, this is what you got to do. There's none of that in me now. I mean, it's like so foreign to me. And it's because I've been forced to go inside. Even a monk who wants to go inside, I've been forced to go inside, and I love being inside. And I could spend my whole life inside. So I love this time. I love seeing that the Ganges is becoming less polluted. I love seeing that the Himalayas are visible now from 200 kilometers away after just 2 weeks of people being, not involved.
Hmm.
I love seeing how the world is correcting itself if we let it go. And I love knowing that what happens on the outside also happens on the inside. Like if we would just get out of our own way.
Yes.
So much would change for us. So I love it. I mean, I pray for the people who are sick. I pray for the people who have lost family. I mean, I do, and I pray for the people like you and me who can't see our families in times of need. That's horrible, absolutely horrible. And I don't mean to Pollyannish that with, just how nice I feel being quiet. That doesn't mean anything. But in the quiet, I can pray for those people.
Mhm.
And there's something really beautiful about that. I'm rediscovering what prayer means to me. I'm
Me
rediscovering,
too.
huh?
I am as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's such a beautiful thing to do. I mean, and it's what's being handed to us on a plate, so we might as well eat it,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
Um, what makes you happy?
What makes me happy? Um, Making other people happy. uh, that's really, it really comes down to that.
Do me a favor,
Really.
slide that answer to the left, and you can't answer
Okay.
that anymore. What makes you happy now?
Connecting with myself and with something greater. Connecting with that energy. I was thinking when you were speaking about your daughter, I was thinking how amazing it is to how we can communicate is if you've traveled to a foreign country and you don't speak the language, they don't speak yours, you don't speak theirs, and how you can actually communicate without language to
Yeah,
another person and how you can be connected in a deep way. And I've experienced that through Zoom in the last year, even before COVID. Um, the the ability to connect energetically with someone through this technology to
yeah,
me is absolutely mind blowing.
yeah. I love that. When you say that, it brings to mind a story of when I was 18, I hitchhiked around the world for 2 years. And I remember being riding a moped on the islands of Greece. And I looked like quite the, phenomenon there. I had, hair down to my shoulders and riding this bike. And I was. But what interests me so much was these old Greek women who were gathering olives from the olive trees saw me, and some reason I don't know what about me motivated them. They had their little babushkas filled with olives, and they came running towards the road and stop, stop. And I thought, what do they want? Like, what am I doing? Did I offend them? Did I do something? And when they got to where I was, they invited me to come off my little moped and sit with them, and they opened up their babushkas so that it was like a tablecloth on the ground, and they just gave me olives to eat. Not for a charge, not for anything. They didn't want anything. We couldn't understand a word either one of us was saying. But we probably sat for 2 hours there together, just eating olives and loving each other, and just having no idea what we would say to each other if we could. But nothing needed to be said. It was such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experience, and I'll never forget
Oh,
those women. They were
oh,
they
that
were
is
they were
beautiful.
older than me, and I was 18 years old. They didn't, it was nothing. It was there's no seemingly commonality.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story. That's one of the joys of traveling.
Yeah,
I would say that experience would be as close to bliss for me,
yeah,
is having that deep connection with a total stranger.
yeah. I love it. You're staying on theme. I love it. Um, let's go to a lightning round because I'm talking more than I want to.
Okay,
Are you a dog or a cat person?
a dog person.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Why are you laughing?
Oh, because I couldn't live without my coffee. It's,
I love it.
unfortunate.
I have one right here. Um,
Yep.
would you say you're a person that is in the box or out of the box?
I'm definitely out of the box. I'm an
Definitely.
introvert, but I'm out of the box.
Care to explain that at all?
Um, I'm just coming to recognize my own eccentricity. Uh, and I'm definitely an out of the box thinker, somebody who honestly, I do what I do, and I'm creating what I create because I want to dream into being, to manifest something that has not existed before. So that really excites me, is how can we do something that no one's ever done before that solves problems. So in that way, I'm out of the box.
To those of you who are listening at home, listen to the magic of that statement that Trina just made. Re-listen to it and ask yourself, do you have any of that in you? Because I bet you do.
Mm.
And what would it take to unleash that in you? What a beautiful way to look at life and try and lead life.
Mm.
Both of these things are important. But for you, not right here in this room at this moment, but in these days now around you that are happening now, which is more important for you? Is it more important for you to have a platform where you can speak your message and be heard? Or is it more important for you to create a platform for others to speak their message and for you to listen to them?
Oh, definitely the latter.
Definitely the latter.
Definitely the latter. I'm getting to a point in my life where I'm a little kind of over myself. I'm kind of bored with, I want someone to really stimulate new ways of thinking for myself,
Wow.
new ways of being.
It's so interesting for me because in this show that I'm talking to so many people, I'm actually shocked how many people, and it may be the way I'm framing the question. I may have be putting a slant on it that I don't mean to, but I don't think I am. I'm amazed at how many people want to hold the space for other people to be heard. And I'm doing the show to give people a chance to say what they need to say. But what they're really saying is they want to do similar things that I'm doing, of create the space for other people to be heard.
Yes.
And so it sort of knocks out my beginning thought that in this world, very few of us are heard, and we all have a desire to be listened to and understood, right? And so when really maybe the desire of people is to just be there to help other people be heard. But I wonder what would happen if all these people were listening and nobody felt the need to talk. Just
Oh, that's beautiful.
right.
That's beautiful. Well, I'll tell you, as an entrepreneur who's launched, my platform, Conscious Good, with this idea of being a community, a co-op of conscious practitioners, leaders, thinkers, creators, artists. I struggle with, if the tree falls in the forest and, nobody hears it, does it make it sound? So it is a struggle to, how much do I need to get my personal name, message, brand out to get enough attention to let people know that I've built this platform for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
No, it's
That's
such a.
a struggle a little bit.
I'll tell you what's been really interesting for me, and I'm not saying this to teach or share or do anything. I'm just noticing it. In this concept of having 50 conversations with 50 strangers, people are hearing my voice more than they ever heard it before. Because they're just drawn to the fact that they can talk to somebody who will actually listen to them. And in that listening, in real listening, there's conversation because I listen and we because there's communion, and somehow in the act of listening, you feel that I am encouraging you, and it's so interesting. I think the world's changing. Like I'm not sure exactly what's happening. This was an experiment I did for others, and as all those experiments happen, they're really not for anybody else but ourselves. I mean, other people are getting benefit, but I'm learning so much from this process of just being available to listen. I have a feeling my voice will come in speaking about what happens when we are available to listen. It's so interesting.
Yes. Yes.
Do you
Beautiful.
feel do you feel like you fit into the world, or have you felt like you've always been different?
I've always felt different. And that's why I think I value connection so much. I mean, I think I felt disconnected for so long.
Yeah.
And I still find it so magical when I have a deep and meaningful connection with others, and where I see the interconnectedness and feel the interconnectedness of all things. It's magical.
It really is. And what you're doing, I mean, you guys, let's talk about your site just for a minute. I want to just you just to mention it. I'm going to mention it in here, but what I want to do is you to mention it so I can say to people, you absolutely have to go there and see it.
Oh, you're so
Okay,
sweet.
so
Absolutely.
so just tell them the name, tell them the website, and we'll
Yeah.
put show note. We'll put everything in show notes. But
Yeah. Oh, so it's the name of my company, the platform is Conscious Good. And we envision a world where every human being feels connected to themselves, to each other, and to something greater. And we believe that visual stories, especially when experienced in community, can be a catalyst for these connections. So we have our streaming platform of visual stories called See Good TV. Conscious Good TV was a bit of a mouthful. So there's See Good TV. And I'm thrilled to say in the last couple of weeks, we've now on Roku, mobile, you can stream all of our, it's in beta right now. So we're adding more content daily. And then it's really important to me to support artistic voices. And so we have a private network group called our Creators Network. And that's really to encourage collaboration and support for conscious artists that are committed to the same things that we are. And we can showcase their work on See Good TV.
it is an absolutely brilliant group of people. So for anybody who is interested, I want you to go there right now and I want you to sign up. I don't think it costs anything right now. It may cost something later down the line, but if
Yeah.
it doesn't cost anything right now, get in on it. It won't. Does it cost anything, or is it free right now?
No, everything's free right now. See Good TV is sort of for audiences and consumers who just want to sort of sit back and enjoy the content. The Creators Network is for people who are creating. So it's um, in the future, we're going to streamline and integrate these so that there's one sign in. Right now, you have to have a separate email sign in for See Good TV and a separate email sign in for the Creators Network.
Gotcha.
So bear with us.
It's all happening, but go there, sign up for both of them, be a part of it because this thing is growing and it's beautiful and it's fabulous, and I think you'll just love it. And just trust me on this for the
Danny.
time being. Okay, I don't give a lot of recommendations normally, so but this is good stuff, and it's time for it to happen.
Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. Do you feel you operate from your head or your heart?
I'm historically from my head, and this last year more from my heart. That's been my growth, as I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. And would you say you're a leader or a follower?
I'm a leader. I'm a bit of a reluctant leader.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of reluctant leaders out there. So I want to ask you just a quick follow up question. I'm not going to paint it out as much as I normally do because I want to be sensitive to our time. But when we look at the world we live in right now, especially like in America, and I'm just going to use a political example, but it could be medicine, it could be spirituality, it could be religion, it could be anything. We have our silos that we live in that that are, and we have leaders in our silos, and some of us are leaders in our silos, and we have a responsibility, I think, to people that I don't really think we're taking very seriously. Because some of our leaders are doing fabulous things, and sometimes they're not doing such good things. And not such good things means it's causing separation or a lack of unity amongst all people. And the easiest place to see it is in a political format where if you're, I don't care if you're pro Trump or anti Trump, but that's not the conversation. But pro Trump people stand behind him religiously, and there's nothing he can do wrong, or if he does something wrong, no one stands up to say he's done something wrong. And anti-Trumpers say there's nothing he can do right. They don't give the dog a bone. They don't give him any credit for doing anything. And because of that, so I believe because of, if someone is told all nothing you've ever done has been good, they're going to stand up and say, well, I did this. Like I took a fly off my windshield so it didn't get hurt when I started the car, or whatever it is. Everybody's done something good. But I think it behooves the leaders in our communities to be able to lead not per silo, but for righteousness and good and truth and connection. What do you think about that?
Oh, it's such a powerful statement, and I absolutely agree. As you were speaking, I really became self-aware that there are individuals in my family who don't believe as I do politically, and it's really hard. I can't see their posts on social media. I get too upset. And one of these family members, I actually said, "Can we have a phone conversation?" And in that phone conversation, we realized we really were passionate about small government. We shared that passion,
Yeah.
And that was fascinating. So, but it took effort. It took, okay, this is making me uncomfortable. I got to reach out to you and have this conversation, and it could get ugly. But it started with that willingness.
Yeah.
Like, your family, I want to understand you. I want
Yeah.
to be able to have a conversation with you. So I think we need to just remember that. The other thing that really helps me is because I certainly can get into a judgmental state at times, or resentful. One of my teachers, Guru Singh, had this phrase that he uses, that life is a one-room schoolhouse, and we are all here to learn. And I might be in grade school and you may be in high school, but there's no looking down. We're just at different rates. And I thought about that. I go, right, you don't look at a kindergartner and have judgment and contempt because they're behaving a certain way. You say, oh, they're a kindergartner. Okay.
Yeah.
And you love them anyway, and you have tolerance and acceptance. So sometimes I think that in our country, I mean, unfortunately, there's huge disparities of education, and with education and income, there's a lack of travel that you and I have been so fortunate to do, to
Yeah.
recognize the other person as us. And so we have to have compassion and understanding and empathy. So that's one, definitely a whole set of things to talk about. And then the other one was, oh, tell me something good that Trump's done. I'd love to hear it.
Okay. I mean, for me, when I look at him, and I'm not a big Trump supporter, I have to honestly say, but there was a moment in time where the economy did look like it was doing better. There was a moment in time where unemployment did seem to be down. COVID then came and switched everything around. There are some things that he has done that have been actually beneficial. It may have been at the cost of things that I think were valuable, and so he sold out some of those things. But I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I want to say, like, look, you did do something. He did close down flights from China on January 30th. That, I mean, he keeps saying that over and over again, and that probably was a
That
wise
is,
thing.
that
That
was
was
good.
probably a wise thing to do against a lot of people who said he shouldn't do it. The question is, what did he do from January 30th to April 1st? Not that much. And but you can't, like, say you didn't do anything. Like, if we were, it's our sort of defensiveness of having to defend ourselves against constant attack that doesn't allow us to cooperate with the other side. And so I just think that in everybody there is an inherent goodness, even in people that are not good. If we
Absolutely.
if we had more time, I would tell you the story of my daughter. Remind me to tell it to you another time.
Oh, I would love to hear that.
It
Absolutely.
will be it will touch you because it touched me completely. Last question in the lightning round. Which was not quite a lightning round. You see, I talked a lot. Uh, do you think people are more similar than they are different, or
Oh,
more different than
absolutely.
they are similar?
Absolutely more similar than they are different. By
So,
far. I think it's scary how similar actually.
yeah, yeah,
Like those Greek women that you met
yeah,
who
totally.
can speak your language, age, ethnicity, everything.
So, why do you think we're so fast to point out the differences in others when we're actually so much more alike than we are different?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. One, um, we try to establish meaning and context for why we exist. And some people have subscribed to, for there to be meaning, this is the set of beliefs I must adhere to. And um, historically, those belief systems have been us against them. They've been very uh, tribal, and they're not serving us any longer. They don't serve a global, interconnected, planetary
Yeah,
existence. And and then I think that we're evolving as a species still, and we we still have a lot of fear. There's still that fight or flight that we're grappling with,
yeah,
and the differences in people can trigger that.
yeah,
And especially if you haven't been exposed to a lot of different cultures and types of people,
yeah.
that fear and that insulation is going to be really challenging to overcome. And I think, again, this is one of the reasons I talk about visual storytelling. I believe that the thoughts that we have, what we listen to, what we read, all those stories have a huge impact on us and our lens, the lens for which we see life. And is
Yeah.
that lens one of fear, or is it one of love and unity?
Beautiful.
And what do I want to feel? And based on what I want to feel and experience, that's how I'm going to choose the news that I listen to, the stories that I listen to, all of that. So that's really important.
So imagine if there was a channel that was called See Good TV that you could see good things because that's what you wanted to listen to. How fabulous would that be?
Wouldn't
Right?
it be amazing?
Wouldn't it be? It is amazing. Let me ask you really quickly because I have someone waiting to come in for another conversation, but I want to ask you two more questions. 1 minute answers.
Got
Okay?
it.
Do you believe the world's trying to tell us something with all the stuff that it's giving us?
Absolutely.
What do you think that is?
Uh, I think the world is telling us life is precarious. Life is precarious, and value it and be grateful. And if you don't come together and recognize the interconnectedness, then you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Everyone will lose. Either come together and allow everyone to win, or stay separate and everyone will lose.
Not much of a different message than my parents taught me when we were growing up. United we stand, divided we fall, right?
That's right.
I mean, similar. Do you think the world's trying to tell you personally something?
I think that I would say the universe or consciousness has been telling me for years what my part is, what I can do to make a positive contribution. And I was in a lot of pain when I didn't listen to that
Yeah.
and really tried to bury that with distraction and addiction and whatever that is. And then when I started to unpack those layers and really attentively listening to consciousness, I found what the universe needs of me.
I love it. Trina, you've said so much, and I thank you for so much for all that you've said. I want to give you one last chance to take 1 minute. Is there something you want to tell the world that you would really like them to hear? I'm sorry you only have 1 minute, but you got a minute.
There's one thing I would like is I hope you can hear when I say that we are all interconnected by the energy in this universe, and that energy is based in love.
Beautiful.
And know that and feel that and try to get to that place every day, as many times throughout the day. And you will feel better and the world will be better for it.
If you heard nothing but that final minute, just just tape it, tape it, repeat it, rinse, repeat. What a beautiful message to go out with. Trina, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking
Thank
your
you very
time to
much.
be here with us. For those of you who listen to the show and have listened to some of the conversations, please share these conversations around. These are beautiful conversations. And if you feel to, take another step. Start to have your own conversations. My parents always told me, Danny, don't talk to strangers. And I know why, because it can be unsafe to do it. But create a safe environment where it's not unsafe to do it. Because I think what you'll find is these conversations are so, so beautiful that people that we think are different are really not different at all. There's something about all of us that's the same. And in that sameness, we can create a world that is unified rather than separate. I want to thank you so much for being a part of this. Trina, thank you again. People, thank you again. Share these with your friends. Get it out there or not, whatever you feel to do with them. This is our world to live in and create the way we want. But I thank you for joining us. Trina, before you go, one last thing you want to say, anything?
Well, I want to thank you for having this platform and for your time, energy, and spirit, and to thank the community that you've gathered to hear these stories. So I have a lot of gratitude. So gratitude and love to you, Danny, and to your listeners.
Mirror, mirror, back and forth. I love it. Thank you again so much. Will you be sure to send me a headshot
Yes,
and links to all your URL and all your social media so that I can put it in the show notes?
yes, absolutely.
Thank you
Okay.
again so much for being
Thanks,
here with us.
Danny. Okay.
Until next time, stranger things have happened than meeting a stranger and falling in love. So fall in love with each other and help each other, okay? Until next conversation, stay well. Ciao.